Alright, I'm gonna try to call Mike. He's from Spitfire. He just put up a live stream, so.
9751219 is not available.
Okay, let's try it again.
Hi, you're on Slow Strike Back.
Mike, hey, it's Dallas.
Hey, Dallas, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going, man. I heard your live stream, so I wanted to jump in and chat with you. I never actually got a chance to talk to you, but I know that we're on the same page based on you know, how you talk about things, and I just wanted to kind of add a little bit to the conversation here. I actually wanted to go back to the lady that had called about, you know, getting off the keyboards. And I know with some people in those chat rooms, you know, they take offense sometimes. I saw it yesterday. I had said something, I got a little upset, and you know, I had said something in the chat room about when are we going to get off the keyboards, and you know, the response I got was, well, that's something that we have to do, unfortunately. And you know, I'm sorry to say that that's wrong. And you know, Deb, when she was on the phone yesterday, you could hear it in her voice. You know, she's feeling the same way. I was out there, okay, and I met Lavoy. I also met David Fry. I also met the couple that was out there, and it really makes me sick to my stomach, for one, that people in the chat room would dare say that this is a psyop and that those were Sandy Hook actors. And
Heard that one yet, Dallas? I didn't hear they were Sandy Hook. That's a new one to me.
yeah, it was in a chat room the other day, and I just brushed it off my shoulders. But the other thing I'm hearing too, and people are emailing me directly, you know, because my family and I, we did start at 3%, and I'm sure everyone else is asking this question, and I'm going to answer it for everybody. Everyone's asking, where the hell was the 3%? Where the hell was everybody? Well, that's a question that everyone needs to ask themselves, because we're all 3%ers. And if you want to know exactly why we weren't able to go, my whole thing is I went back by myself. I actually got stuck in Ogden the night and the day that Lavoy was murdered. I was in a hotel. I was so terrified. You know, I thought they were just coming for everybody. Who the hell knows at this point? Because we're up against foreign entities. These aren't even American people. I'm sorry. These are soulless. I call them demons, whatever we want to call them. These are not human beings. They're not at all. And for all we know, they could have been Russian soldiers, because this is a fight over their property for their uranium-1. You know, but that's what this is about, and people need to seriously wake up. I was going to do actually a video, you know, a wake up millennial video, because, you know, I'm 35. I know you said you're about to turn 38. You know, we are millennials, and
I'm going to be 37.
right, and I just, you know, my whole thing was too of why my family went out there. Oh, I wanted to back up real quick. The reason why we couldn't go. The reason why the 3%ers, you know, I was actually in contact with Brandon's wife, Brooke, and they are real. They're the real deal. But here's the problem: we're not going to go in to an area that is blocked 60-mile radius out. Okay, so when we go in, you know, of course we're going to be bearing arms. I mean, that is for safety and protection. So what the hell do you think they're going to do at the checkpoints? That's just an ambush on the 3%ers to go up there. They're going to pull every one of us over and yank all of our guns. So we have to be smart about this. And the only way for anybody to have even gone in there was with a convoy. And I'm talking about American people. We could have went unarmed. But see, the problem is everyone right now are waking up, and it's too late. And that's what's happened now. Everyone feels bad now, and everyone should feel bad. And I hate to say this, but it's going to hit home with people. I mean, a lot of people that did sit back and wasn't doing anything, they are responsible for Lavoy's death, because this is just going to go through the next town. This isn't going to stop. So that's the whole key here. And if you go back to that FBI video where me and Pete Santilli went up to them and he was speaking to the agent about the Constitution, there was a part in there, it might have been like 20 minutes in, I'd have to look, but he said something to Pete. He said, "You're absolutely right. You need to get more people." And even the agent said that. You know, these guys are so compartmentalized in there, they want to get out of there too. I saw it in their eyes. They're tired of being slaves, but we can't just walk away from our jobs, and I get that. But the ones that can, they do. They need to get off their ass and go. And it's not necessarily run to Burns, because that wasn't the message here. I spoke to Lavoie 2 days before he was assassinated. And we were actually leaving because we thought mission was accomplished. This is going the right direction. KrisAnne Hall, she woke everybody up. And you saw an awakening in that room. And that's why they had to murder this man. Because I told Lavoie, I said, "Lavoie, I got your message. I got you and Almond's message." And it was, we don't need to be in Burns. We just need to educate everywhere. That is all this was about. This wasn't about taking over a refuge. It wasn't. It's a bird refuge. It's 60 miles out of any town. If anyone's ever been there, it is in the middle of nowhere. I am not shitting you. You go Google Map Earth that. There was no danger. That is why they went out there, because they didn't want to show danger to anybody. And it was simply pretty much an education. And I was looking forward to going back and getting educated until the man was assassinated. That was a complete ambush from corporate mercenaries. That is all that was. And people need to wake the hell up and understand that. These people will not stop. They're just going to run right through us. They're already doing it right now. Look what they're doing to Shauna Cox. Okay? It is unbelievable. They're making her come back and supposedly getting an anklet bracelet put on her. And here's another thing that they're going to try to do with her, and I want to get this out there, with her Dave Hodges. I heard her Dave Hodges, and it was a great testimony. And I want to just nip this in the butt right now. There was a few times when she was talking about Ryan Payne and getting out of the vehicle. And then there was, towards the end, she was also talking about Ryan still being in there. Everyone needs to understand there was a Ryan Payne and there was Ryan Bundy. So we need to nip that in the butt right now for all the trolls that are going to want to attack that. There's 2 Ryans. There was 5 people total in that vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I heard and understood exactly what you were saying. I knew that. You know, and but that's what they play on right now, Dallas. You know, it's crazy that you called me today, because on the show last night I had Scott on, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Man, I got to introduce you to Dallas." You know, like you guys remind me a lot of each other, and then you called in today, so that was kind of cool how that worked out.
Well, I just, you know, I gained a lot of respect from you, and I actually wanted to ask you about it. You had said you were going to videotape something in your neighborhood or something. I forgot what you were talking about, but what got me was you got up and did it, and for the people, like someone emailed me the other day and said, "Well, Dallas, what do we do? What do we do?" The first thing I said to them is, look, this first thing you can do, call your local sheriff and just ask if they're a constitutionalist sheriff, because guess what? If they're not, you might want to start considering moving. And that's what people need to start realizing right now. You are going to have to give everything up in order to be free. And I am talking about cell phone bills that cost $150, cable bills that are an extra $150, going to the movies. You have to give those things up, because I am so tired of people coming up with their excuses of telling me why they can't go to these functions. I sold things and pawned things and drove a 1998 Jeep with 170,000 miles on it, 12 hours to Burns, Oregon. There was people there that drove 2 to 3,000 miles from Florida. So the excuses do have to stop, but I do understand that some people do have, you know, issues, things like that. I got it. But when I went to that campground as a family, we were the first family there, and I videotaped that just to show everyone how safe it was. I brought my dogs out there to show how safe it was. No one came. Nobody came. Now everybody wants to come all of a sudden. Why? Because you saw a man get murdered on TV, and now probably 4 others up there at the refuge. What happened with them? You know, as far as we know, they were just assassinated as well, and will they ever even be remembered?
Exactly.
That's what needs to stop, and I'm tired of it, and I know you're tired of it. This is our generation, and unfortunately, the ones that are past the age of 45 and 50, they're done with. Even my parents, they're in their 50s. They know their generation is gone. But our generation, the 35-year-olds, I don't have kids. I mean, this is where we have to rise up. My generation. It has to. We're all that's left, because look what they're doing to the next generation. I mean, I am so tired of hearing these articles and reading them. Just because it's not happening in your town doesn't make it right. In California, this is another thing. We also need to realize something too. I hate to say this, but we're done with court systems and we're done with petitions. I am so tired of hearing, I call it keyboard cowards, that will sit there and come up with a petition for everyone to sign. And my question to them is, how the hell did the SB 277 petition work out with 350,000 signatures that were on Facebook that got wiped away? Now children in public schools are having forced vaccinations. 67, I believe, by the age of 6 or 7. I don't know the number, but it's insane.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I have 4 children. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and then I have 3 sons, a 15, a 14, and a 12-year-old. And all I know is that I don't want to face the day when my children come up to me and say, Dad, what happened? Why did we fail?
Yeah.
As a parent, that's always your natural instinct, is you want to protect and guide your children in the right way. My children are very big. I mean, not my 12-year-old. My 12-year-old's 12. They're normal kids, don't get me wrong. But my 16-year-old last year was looking to get expelled on September 11th when they were talking about it in his school, and they asked him his thoughts, and he said, I think we were lied to. And the teacher asked him what made him think that, and all my son said was, buildings don't just fall like that. And they were going to suspend him.
Wow.
And he went to that school, and I'm not kidding, Dallas, the superintendent looked right at me, and I work in the public schools, and when he said to me, your children do not have freedom of speech until they're 18 years old.
Wow.
I was blown away. So
Well,
I told them, fine. You want to suspend them? I'll be back with my cameras, other news outlets, and some lawyers that would love to cover this story. And naturally, he didn't get suspended. But I was more shocked at the fact that it was your child has no right to be heard.
well, and that's
And it just, wow.
yeah. Well, I found out too in Oregon, and this is no joke. You guys could look this up. It really, I mean, just something else to add to the pile of crap that we're in. But when I was in Oregon, sitting at the campground, there was a conversation going on with a Fox News reporter, who, by the way, sat in the lodge the entire time this was going on with no camera and sat at his computer, never even left the lodge. But anyway, he actually, it was actually a Fox News story. Did you know that children in the state of Oregon that are, I believe, the age of 14 to 15 are able to decide without parental consent of whether or not they want a sex change? I am not kidding you.
Wow.
That is no joke. You can Google it and look at Fox News. They did a report on it. I about threw up, and this is just what I'm talking about. Who the hell keeps making up this crap? And that's what we're getting tired of. Like you said earlier about the presidential debate, and I even said in one of my videos, there is no president, and I think everyone's starting to figure that out. This goes straight to the British Crown. That's who's running us, and everyone needs to start figuring that out and wake up and realize they've been lied to their entire life. It's just, people are going to have to accept that, and people just can't handle the truth, and they're going to have to start hearing it, because I'm tired of hiding behind all this fake crap and fake stuff. I'm just sick of it. I mean, I don't want to leave this for our generation. And Chris Ann Hall, her words to that meeting that I attended in Burns pretty much was, if we don't wake up, our children will piss on our graves. And And that's true, but people get their feelings hurt about hearing that. It's like, you know what? This is reality. We live in reality and truth. I don't live in fake news that's owned by 6 corporations that spews out pharmaceutical commercials every other 5 minutes. They're getting people hooked on this crap. I call them zombies. That's what my family calls them, walking zombies or whatever. It's just sick to even try to conversate with anybody anymore because everyone is just worried about, especially right now, Super Bowl. So we're going to all be watching Super Bowl. I'm not, because I think it's a gross thing. I used to actually play fantasy football. And that's what people don't get about me. They hear me talk and they go, Dallas, you don't know. Bullshit. I played into all this fake reality. I lived the so-called American dream. I was rich. I was poor. I was addicted to drugs. I worked for a corporation making $50,000 a year. I had a nice truck. I mean, I know all these things. I played fantasy football, but it's so sick. Listen to the words, fantasy. It's a fantasy. I mean,
Right.
holy shit. And I just, when I watch football, it's just the same thing every year. Oh yeah, man, we're gonna get them next year. We're in this repetitive cycle every year with Thanksgiving, Christmas. Then we say, okay, we're gonna do some New Year's Eve vows, and we're gonna stick to it, and then it ends in 2 weeks. I mean, it's just, how much longer is this gonna just go on? It's like the Hunger Games. I'll watch some of those movies because it's exactly what's happening to us. Hollywood is telling us exactly what they're doing, and that's why they do that. Hollywood comes out with all these movies like a Hunger Games, because I think of us as Hunger Games with that clock. They were on one big clock in that one of the movies. But they're telling us what they're doing, and the reason why they come out with movies is so when we try to explain it to them, they'll go, oh, you're just talking about that movie Hunger Games. Bitch, it's like we've said, you don't believe in conspiracy theories, we're in one.
Right. Right. That's exactly it. And unfortunately, this year my birthday falls on Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You know where I'm gonna be? I'm gonna be having dinner with my kids, and then when they go to bed, I'm gonna be on the show with Spitfire and do what we always do.
Well,
Just another day.
and that's what people need to understand right now is, sorry, I'm eating, is that there is nothing else right now that should matter to anybody. And I'm sorry, but people need to start getting their, we call it their blankie. They need to have their blankie taken away from them, which is the government. Everyone has been so dependent on this government. They're so worried about their blankie getting taken away because they're not going to have their pharmaceuticals. They're not going to have their little Walmarts and things like that. We don't need that crap. It's destroying us. 95% of the shit in the store is garbage anyway.
Right. Right. We're really good consumers and really bad human beings right now.
Right, and then, exactly, like we said, we always say people are existing. They're not living.
Right. That's exactly it. Man, Dallas, I tell you what, I'm glad I met you. I really am.
Well, and I'm still going to be doing things out here, and I'm still going to be involved, and I am going to announce this, that I will be at Lavoie Finicum's funeral. At this point, everyone's saying we need to be safe and secure. Well, this is safe and secure is by me announcing that. So if something, some people might think this is a joke, but if I get murdered for being on the way out there, I have to have that mindset now. We all do, and I'm sorry, but it sucks to live like that. But that's what we're up against here. We're up against pure evil. And I will be at Lavoie's funeral, and I will be there with Deb, which, by the way, Deb and Pete, that's another thing, people talking about Pete being an FBI. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Excuse my language, but you guys, that man put my family up in a hotel room for 2 days because our pop-up tent was broke and we couldn't go out to the refuge. I mean, so I'm not even going to waste my time talking about that with Pete being an FBI agent. I think everyone that's listening completely understands who Pete is and what he is. That's a true man right there. And, a lot of people talked about him, about, well, he was too outspoken. No, he wasn't. You saw a man with emotions. And that's what people need to understand. This is not an act. This is not a game. This is not a show. This is real shit. These aren't psyops. These are people putting their lives on the line. Pete hasn't seen his family in probably over a month. Neither has Deb. Neither has Ben. Neither has Ken. Which Kenny, by the way, wasn't doing too great the other day. So a lot of people are having their own issues going on. But yet we sit behind a keyboard all day trying to debunk a video about Lavoy Finicum. Who cares? He was assassinated and murdered. Let's move on now. I think that's what he would want. We know he was ambushed, and people are sitting here trying to debunk it. He never ever had a 9mm, ever. So
I heard that, and when I heard that was why I brought that up today. And everybody keeps going back to this 9mm. And his family has already come out and said he doesn't own a 9mm.
No, he never did. He had a single action, I think, Colt. I saw it on him. The man. Here's the other problem of what happened out there, that we also realized when my dad was talking to a few people. Some people were coming up to us from the refuge that was down there. Some family, and was saying that Lavoy and those guys don't understand how evil this is. They didn't. They really, really thought that, because you have to remember something. They knew how evil it was based on what was happening to them with their land. These guys weren't in cities. These guys didn't see how deep this rabbit hole goes. So they really, truly, truly thought, based on their family conversations, which was a big family, a huge family. I mean, he's originally from Arizona, has a lot of relatives in Utah. Lavoy does, and Amon's from Idaho. So they truly thought more people were going to come. They did. They truly thought more people were going to come. They didn't realize that they were going to get ambushed. They didn't. I mean, they were on their way to go to another community of 400-something people. The reason why he was ambushed is because he was starting to win the hearts of America, and so was KrisAnne Hall. There was an awakening happening, and they had to end it right away. And that is why he was ambushed.
Damn shame. It's what it is.
It is, and that's what people need to realize is, okay, so I guess the thing is, we're going to have to learn from this and educate ourselves of what happened and move forward. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of things going on right now in Texas with them taking land right now. There's also things going on in Nevada right now. This is going on all over right now. And
half a mile from my house right now in Flint, Michigan, there are people being poisoned with the water.
Right, and that's where we need to see. They've always planned for this divide, because you're seeing it right now. The keyboards, they really are. I hate to say it, but they're holding us up. They are, because I have people saying, "Why use my keyboard as ammo?" Okay, well, you're out of bullets because it ain't working. Okay, the petitions aren't working, the court systems aren't working. Look what happened at that refuge. They had judges, they had lawyers in there. They were investigating so many things, and they were uncovering the corruption in that town. And look at how long it takes for the court systems. This is all done on purpose, so we will always fail. And that's what people need to get through their mind. The court systems, the petitions, they're not going to work. All those are just, they're just holdups, I guess you would say. That's all it is. And at this point, I don't know if they want an attack or what they want, because right now what they're doing is they're driving a knife through all of our hearts right now. That's what they've done by murdering Lavoy. And they want somebody to snap. That's what they're looking for, and that's where we all do have to be strong by not snapping. But we have to get off of our asses. I mean, we do. That's the only way.
Well said.
But I'm gonna get off the phone. I know you got probably other callers that want to call in, but is this your cell? Can I email you my number, because I don't want to give it on the air?
Sure. If the number you're calling from right now, I've got it then.
Well, here, I'll give you my email, and I don't mind if people have this, because I have been answering emails.
Okay.
It's a Dallas A Club, and it's my name like the Cowboys, DALLAS A Club ACLUB @ Hotmail. You know, and I have been responding to some emails, but I will say this, I'm not going to respond to any emails about where was the 3% because people need to start doing their research. We are the 3%. We are militia. So, you know, that's my other advice to people is this, we need to start at going back to ABC 1, 2, 3. We got to start educating ourselves on the basics here of what our rights are and stop being told what our rights are. There's a big difference here. And we're going to have to, we got to end this. We have to.
Absolutely. I took your email down, Dallas, and after the show, I'll shoot you an email. You know who I am, and we'll get in contact.
All right, cool, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thanks for calling.
All right, man.
Take care.
Bye. All right.